everyone, welcome to our Christmas and Sensory Needs webinar. We are Sheffield Parent Carer Forum. We're an independent group of parents and carers of children and young people aged 0 to 25 with special educational needs and disabilities. Our main aim is to ensure the needs of our children are met. We bring together parents and carers from across the city to provide mutual support, exchange information and influence policy and practice. We have over 3,000 members. More information can be found on our website. As well as these information sessions, we also have peer support groups across the city and a confidential one-to-one service. The aims of the session today are to improve parent-carer knowledge and confidence around sensory needs and how sensory strategies can help. To introduce and discuss strategies to try to help and support your child or young person during the Christmas period. To facilitate digital representations of these discussions, allowing all parents and carers to access peer support. Our children and young people may have difficulties with the sensory world around them. As a parent or carer of a child or young person who may have sensory differences, it's important to be aware, to look at what in the environment could be causing difficulties and see if it can be changed. To be prepared, tell the child or young person what they can expect, and to be creative with sensory experiences. We all receive information through our senses, and our brain figures out what to do with the information. If this all works well, we can make sense of what we see, we can move as needed, and we can enjoy the taste of different foods, etc. However, for our children and young people who struggle with sensory processing, things may not always work as well. What is sensory processing? Sensory processing is the way our brain interprets and responds to input that comes through the senses. There'll be a sensory input, processing, and then a response. Information comes into the brain via our senses. So someone may bump into us in the shop. Our brain processes this information as touch, and depending how we feel about touch determines our response. We may be fine with touch and hardly notice, or just tell the person not to worry. However, if we are tactile sensitive, we may feel pain, become very upset, or even push back. There are 8 senses, 5 well-known: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, and 3 may be less well-known: proprioception, vestibular, and interoception. Proprioception is knowing where your body is in space without having to look at it, so you can walk down the street without watching every footstep. Let's try the eyes closed challenge. Close your eyes. If your legs are crossed, raise one arm. Now open your eyes and check. I imagine you didn't need to check. You knew where your body was positioned in space. This means that you have good proprioceptive feedback. Some children and young people do not have good proprioceptive feedback. This could be because they have low muscle tone or issues with their joints. Sometimes the messages from their muscles do not register in their brain as easily. These children will need to move more in order to get this feedback. They may want to squish up against you on the sofa or sit on their knees. They may be told off at school for fidgeting or swinging on their chair. However, this movement helps them to feel more comfortable and means they know where their bodies are in space. Regular movement breaks throughout the day can be beneficial, as movement helps them to feel calm and settled in their bodies. Activities like wheelbarrow walks, jumping on a trampoline, rolling Play-Doh, and bear hugs can all help. Vestibular is about balance and knowing where you are in relation to upright. If you do not have good vestibular processing, you might suffer with things like motion sickness. Some children may not cope in crowds, or if there are too many people moving around them. They may also be the other end of the scale and seek lots of movement, such as hanging upside down, swinging and spinning around. 15 minutes of swinging can have a 6 to 8 hour regulating effect on the brain. Bouncing and jumping can also. Interoception is understanding your feelings from the inside. Pain, hunger, fatigue, and needing the toilet. Children and young people with additional needs can really struggle to understand the sensations in their body, and also may struggle to communicate how they are feeling. Visuals, routines, and social stories can help with this. Sensory profiles. We all have a sensory profile and sensory preferences. This is completely normal. The two main sensory profiles are undersensitive, which occurs when a child displays an undersensitive reaction to sensory stimulation. Children are always seeking stimuli. Their behaviour is aimed at regulating an underreactive sensory system. And oversensitive, which is an overreaction to sensory stimuli. A child may have an extreme reaction to the sensory input in their environment. Difficult behaviours or strong emotions could be a response to lights, sounds, smells, and touch. It's important to remember that a child or young person may have a combination of profiles. The behaviours or reaction we see is a response to being over or undersensitive to something, whether that is touch, texture, taste, smell, sound, or movement. It is the season for sensory overwhelm. All the lights, music in all the shops, crowds, decorations, extra days out, visits to Santa, and changes to the school routine. Christmas often means social gatherings and family get-togethers. For people with sensory processing difficulties, these gatherings can be hard to manage with extra noise, lights, unfamiliar foods, and lots of social interactions. Your child's sensory cup. If you think of your child's sensory needs as a cup, all day sensory input is being added, getting dressed, having breakfast, following instructions, etc. Adding in Christmas to the usual demands can be too much. Too much input can lead to their sensory cups overflowing. There's nowhere left for any more input, and we see big feelings or a meltdown. For some children or young people, this may look like them shutting down. We want to try to avoid our child's sensory cup getting to the point of overflow. We can do this by providing our child or young person with a sensory diet and making use of our sensory toolkits. We might offer sensory snacks throughout the day in the form of proprioceptive activities, vestibular activities, movement breaks, or messy play. Meeting our child's sensory needs in this way will provide opportunities for their sensory cups to empty. After a school day or a demanding day out, you could try offering a sensory retreat to help them unwind. Proprioceptive activities, deep pressure touch if the child is receptive, decrease demands for the first hour after school, and try to avoid questions about their day, chores, or homework. Try to reduce the amount of stimuli in the environment, harsh lighting, noise, etc. Make use of the tools that help. Noise-cancelling headphones, sunglasses, a favourite hoodie or blanket, trampoline, bouncing on a ball, for example. If we make use of these tools, we can empty a little bit of our sensory cups. Overstimulation happens when a child is swamped by experiences. Remember, children cannot tolerate the same amount of sensory input most adults can. Out and about. There can be lots of changes to the environment at Christmas time. Lights, smells, crowds, which can be overwhelming for our children and young people. However, there are things we can do to make the experience a little easier. We could also think about some sensory swaps we can make to clothing as season changes can be challenging. We could try a cap instead of a bobble hat to limit the visual field, a hoodie to cover ears and eyes instead of a traditional jumper, for example. Christmas shopping. Shopping can be extremely overwhelming, especially at Christmas time. There is more noise, more crowds, and lots of visual stimulation. Even if we know our child or young person will struggle, sometimes, especially at this time of year, it is impossible to avoid. We can do some things to help, including thinking about when we are going shopping. Are there quieter times, such as early in the morning or later in the day? Can we do a few shorter trips rather than a big shopping trip in one go? Planning. We could use a list to plan where we need to go and what we need to buy. You can encourage your child to tick off as you go, which can help reduce anxiety. Social stories can also be useful in helping the child to understand what to expect. We can make use of our sensory toolkits, including taking a water bottle, a snack, something to chew on like gum or jewellery, fidget toys, etc. If noise is overwhelming, we can make use of headphones and playing the child's favourite music. If struggling with lights or brightness, a cap, hoodie, or even sunglasses may help. Or if going out for presents is just too much, we can consider online shopping as an alternative. Christmas activities. School at Christmas can be a very busy and sometimes unsettling time for our children. Suddenly, the routine has changed. There may be decorations in the classroom and expectations to perform in Christmas plays. These things can also increase our child's sensory sensitivities. If you feel your child will find taking part in the Christmas play difficult, talk to the school Senko about having an action plan if they feel overwhelmed and need to exit. Or you can have a look at the star system guide we will provide at the end of the video. Also ask about how else they could be involved without needing to stand on stage. Visiting Santa can also be a very sensory-rich event. We can also think about changing our expectations. Your child may not want to get too close to Santa, but a wave can be just as magical. Take along your sensory toolkit: headphones, comfortable clothing, fidgets, anything that can help them to feel more at ease. We can also think about reducing the amount of demands on our children and young people. Ask if they really want to see Santa. If you don't think they will understand or enjoy the experience, don't feel that you have to put them through it. Christmas decorations. Make sure to maintain a calm space at home, somewhere free from decorations and clutter. Have at least one room that is a Christmas-free zone. Gradually introduce decorations over a few days or even a week. Involve the child or young person in where they want to hang decorations. They may feel more comfortable with them in a certain place or area of the home. It's also important to consider scents. Christmas scents and candles can be extremely overwhelming sensory-wise. Christmas presents. The feeling and sound of wrapping paper, sellotape, and the unexpected can be very overwhelming. We can do some things to help. We can reduce pressure by reducing surprises or opening gifts without an audience. We can stagger present opening throughout the day or even over a few days. We can wrap gifts in clear cellophane or not at all. We can consider money for an activity or experience rather than a gift. It may also be helpful to manage other people's expectations, grandparents for example. It can help if we communicate how our child or young person may respond to an audience, that they may be upset or not want to participate at all. It's important that you do what is right for you and your family, and what helps your child to feel the most comfortable. Christmas dinner. We can make sure preferred foods are available alongside the festive specials you would like your child or young person to try. We can try shopping together to look at the different festive foods and let them pick something. We can bake or cook together. This will help them to get used to the different textures and smells, with no pressure to eat the food afterwards. Before a gathering with family or friends, pack familiar foods. Take items from their sensory toolkit to help them feel more comfortable. And talk to the host beforehand about what they can manage. Christmas dinner can be really tricky for children with sensory processing difficulties. It's often a busy environment with differences to a usual mealtime. It's important we let children know what to expect, what foods will be on offer, table decorations, and extra guests. Visual schedules can be used to let them know what to expect and what order things are happening. For example, at first there may be crackers, there may be a toast to the day, Christmas dinner, a break away from the table, and finally pudding. Christmas can mean lots of overindulging and unfamiliar foods, but just because it's Christmas, it does not mean food has to change. If you need to have their safe foods or take foods with you, do not worry. New tastes and textures can be really overwhelming. Let your child try things they do want with no pressure. Crackers are another consideration. They can be really difficult for children who are sensitive to sound. They can be unpredictable and scary. You may wish to remove the bang or talk to them about what to expect. We can also give choices. Would they prefer to leave the table, wear ear defenders, or put their hands over their ears, for example. Family and friends at Christmas. We can manage expectations by explaining to family and friends how your child or young person will manage best. Think about whether there'll be a calm space for your child to retreat to, or is there a park or nearby walk that could be a calming activity to break up the time. Take along their sensory toolkits and make sure they are easily accessible. Being flexible means knowing you may need to leave early or cut an activity short. Encourage family and friends to understand this. You can also familiarise your child or young person before the event. Show them photos of who they'll be seeing or even the house. Take foods or safe foods to suit your child or young person. Ensure family and friends do not put pressure on your child to eat. We can educate other family members about our child's needs so everyone can be supportive and understanding. Traditions may need to be flexible. Top tips. Prepare. Follow your child's lead. Watch your child's cues. Use your sensory toolkits. Keep moving. Stick to a routine. Schedule quiet time. Use visuals and schedules. Preparation for our children and young people with sensory processing needs is really important. Think about how to make Christmas enjoyable for you and your family. Don't feel pressured to do what everyone else is. Talk to family and friends about expectations and what will work for your child. Follow your child's lead. If they need a day at home relaxing, do it. Don't be drawn into the pressure to visit everyone. Watch your child's cues. Becoming withdrawn, agitated, emotional, or being short-tempered could all be signs they are experiencing sensory overwhelm and have had enough. Make use of sensory toolkits. Christmas is not the time to take away self-regulation tools. Make use of the tools that help: music, fidget toys, jewellery, or weighted items. Keep moving. Christmas can involve lots of sitting and being in the house. Plan in regular movement breaks. Get outside and encourage your child to do lots of pushing and pulling activities. Stick to a routine. Try to keep meals and bedtimes the same and section the day like you usually would, but with Christmas plans dotted in. Don't overplan their day. Have plenty of time at home for play and relaxation. Schedule quiet time. Have some quieter days. This will really help with regulation. Visuals. Use visuals and social stories to help with transitions to hopefully reduce stress and anxiety.
How do I manage my son's movement breaks as he has interception issues and won't wear a coat or a hat or gloves?
It might be that we need to think of proprioceptive activities we can do at home, such as bouncing and rocking on a peanut ball, wheelbarrow walking, or laundry basket pushing. Don't pressure them to wear something, but maybe keep movement breaks outside shorter. Can we make clothing swaps as we've discussed earlier? Or layering hoodies or comfortable items instead of a hat and coat?
Can you give me a real life example of blending some safe foods with Christmas foods? I'm trying to kind of like see it in my head.
So do not worry if your child still needs their safe foods at Christmas. They may like to try small amounts of Christmas foods with no pressure to eat it. They could have a separate plate with a couple of items on to try if they wish. The most important thing is don't feel pressure to blend. They can join in with what they are comfortable with. Cook safe foods such as nuggets and chips without adding extra stress to your day by popping them in the oven at the same time.
Do you have any other life examples for like practical tips on dealing with the seasonal overwhelm?
Yes, so presents can be really overwhelming. Many neurodivergent children find surprises difficult. Lists are important. Don't be worried about asking friends and family for specific items. Do not be afraid to say no to social invitations. We can also take down decorations prior to the new year to keep the Christmas period shorter. You can self-refer to Sheffield's sensory service at Reigate. This is only available for Sheffield children, and for most families, the website resources will be enough. There's lots of information to be found on the Sheffield Children's Hospital pages, along with educational resources. We have covered a lot today, but we've gathered some additional resources if you would like to learn more. Scan the QR codes to access the following from National Autistic Society, Autism Spectrum News, CBeebies Parenting at Christmas, Family Action Christmas Support, and Managing Anxiety in Children with Autism. Additionally, here is our very own Sheffield Parent Carer Forum PINS Christmas letter for families, which you can print off and share with peers or other family members, as it covers some of the things we've spoken about today. As mentioned earlier, the STAR system is a really good resource to recommend to school SENCOs and teaching staff. It's produced by Peak Potential. Enjoy Christmas your way. Whatever that looks like for your family, there is no right or wrong. Remember, one size does not fit all. Merry Christmas and thank you for listening. The video was produced by Sheffield Parent Carer Forum, written by the Peer Support Service, edited by Neurotraining Programme, and narrated by me, Rebecca Lewis.